Hello there, and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit. The man seated next to me, I know nothing about him. My internet was down today. Wikipedia crashed. I know nothing about you.
You could get the entire Wikipedia in snail mail. It's an option now. We're retro.
I could get that mailed to me?
Yeah, so if there's any updates.
Just 3 simple payments.
And it only takes like 6 weeks.
I like that a lot.
You get your updates every 6 weeks.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
That would be nice, like an Encyclopedia Britannica.
Exactly. Oh, that's going to be the next one.
I get another volume sent to me. This is pretty good.
You get a leather bound. Oh, this is going to be really nice.
My office smells of rich mahogany. All right, this week.
We quote that a lot.
Yeah. This week, we have a couple of movies to talk about. One of them, very controversial. This is not that movie, though. First, we're going to start off with the new film from director Michael Keaton. It is American Assassin, starring Dylan O'Brien. You might know Dylan O'Brien from the Teen Wolf TV show or from the Maze Runner films. He was the star of both of those. He plays a man named Mitch Rapp. The movie opens with Mitch proposing to his girlfriend on a beautiful tropical beach. Unfortunately, terrorists show up for whatever reason, and they crash the party with submachine guns, and his bride-to-be is murdered in front of him on the beach. The movie cuts 18 months later, and Mitch is he's trying to infiltrate some terrorist cells. He's trying to pose as a guy who wants to convert, an American who wants to convert over, and he is doing everything he can. He is angry. He is unstable. He is hell-bent on revenge, and he is also being monitored by the CIA for some reason. We never really find out.
I would assume it's all those flags that you get when you're Google searching, I want to be a terrorist.
Watch this. So they're watching him. Sanaa Lathan, who is the deputy CIA director, is watching him. She kind of likes the cut of his moxie. And so she kind of gets a hold of him and says, hey, we want to make you into a real terrorist. He goes out. He tries to get his revenge. Unfortunately, his revenge is stolen from him, and that is when the CIA grabs him, and she says, let's make you into something. So he is introduced to Michael Keaton, who plays a man named Stan Hurley. Michael Keaton is going to be the guy who whips him into shape. Michael Keaton is like the best of the best.
Yeah.
He is the Mr. Miyagi of turning people into spies. Mitch himself, he's a self-made super spy, really. We find out that they use every cliche in this movie. His test scores are off the charts. We've never seen anyone like him in like the 18 months that
I know. I was thinking that too.
He's learned how to speak many foreign languages. Mm-hmm. He's suddenly a sniper. He's learned every form of martial arts, basically. He is everything. Well, he is what Jason Bourne wants to be when he wakes up in the morning.
He was extremely gifted before, but he had all this girlfriend thing.
Right.
So he was thinking about, weddings and stuff like that.
But now
she's out of the way. He could think about revenge.
Yes. The problem is, get this, he's a loose cannon. We've never seen that.
No.
He's got skills, but he's a loose cannon, so he allows his emotions to control him. I think they wanted to be a little Mel Gibson-like, Lethal Weapon style.
No.
And then the rest of the movie basically turns into there's nukes, there's foreign dignitaries, there's another guy just like him out there, and we're using the not cliche name. He's called the Ghost.
Yeah.
Like this is like the 73rd movie I've seen where the other sniper or mercenary or whatever is called the Ghost.
This was a lot of James Bond plots, I believe.
It was a lot of things we've seen before.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my issue lies with this movie. There's some fun. I thought Dylan O'Brien was capable in this role.
That's where I was kind of lost a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, I loved Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton
was a badass in this movie.
Really knocked it out of the park. He was awesome. But Dylan O'Brien, he just did not fit the role that they wanted him to be.
It was a little over the top with what... like I say, he's literally like everything Jason Bourne is and more out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of 18 months.
For me, the rough part of this movie is, again, Taylor Kitsch shows up. He's the Ghost. Taylor Kitsch just cannot make a successful film. Unfortunately, he signs on to movies like Battleship and John Carter and Savages that just never make money.
No.
And he shows up, and at first... he and Dylan O'Brien look just enough alike that I was confused at first. Like, wait, is this a twin brother scenario?
And again...
The first time you see him, I'm like, this is a twin brother scenario, I'm walking out.
And again, diversity would have helped it a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, because, yeah, I was confused for a while, too. Matter of fact, I didn't even pick it up in the trailers. You think, I would have noticed something like that, but no.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, for me, American Assassin is, there's not really any surprises. It's all very predictable. There's all the cliches you would expect from spy movies used.
But they didn't really play it up where we're supposed to be kind of self-aware or kind of making fun of it or anything. They take everything so seriously, even though it's something that we've all seen before. And some of the really absurd things, like the 18 months to become a super spy. And even though he's a loose cannon and he's only been here for like a week, we're going to put you into the most sensitive.
You cannot take orders or direction. We're going to put you in the field right away.
But Michael Keaton has this nice little learning lesson that lasted maybe 10 minutes, and now he's good. He's golden.
Michael Keaton is amazing in this movie, though.
Yeah,
There's a moment in this movie where he has been captured, and he is being the guy captured is threatening to torture him. And he's like, first mistake, you told me what you're going to do. And the guy rips his fingernail off. He's like, I love it. I've got 9 more. Keep it coming. Like,
come closer.
Yeah. I love Michael Keaton in this. That was great. Sanaa Lathan as the CIA deputy director was absurd. I mean, like, every time this kid did something off the charts that could have killed dozens of civilians and ruined the program, she's like, give him another chance.
Yeah.
His test scores are off the charts, I told you. He's going to be the next one. And you never understand why. There's never a motivation for her to be so infatuated with this kid and what he brings.
Well, this is all based on novels by Vince Flynn.
Okay.
So I'm assuming, like all movie based on a novel, there's probably a lot of things in that book that explains why you would let a loose cannon who's only been in training for 18 months take such sensitive projects. But, of course, the movie didn't want to delve in that.
Don't worry about it. Ultimately, what did you give American Assassin?
I thought it was fun, but it's kind of a weak 3. I really love Michael Keaton. I was entertained, but it's very forgettable. Pretty much after a couple of days, I was like, what was the other movie that I was going to be reviewing? And it's American Assassin.
And I have a feeling, because next week we have a movie called American Made, the Tom Cruise movie. I have a feeling this is just going to fall by the wayside of like, oh, the American movies came out like back to back to back.
Big difference is, are you more excited when you hear Michael Keaton's in a movie or when you hear Tom Cruise is in a movie? Lately,
tough. I love them both.
I
love them quite a bit.
Lately, Tom Cruise has been.
He's only missed on the last 2 for me. The last 2.
All right.
I give him a shot. One more. This movie though, I give 2.5.
All right.
Super mediocre spy movie. Nothing great. Nothing terrible. It's exactly like everything you've seen.
I was borderline, but
yeah.
I did enjoy.
Let's talk about another movie that is nothing borderline. There's no borderline at all about this movie.
This is going to be a complicated one.
I love it.
All right. Well, this is the big one that's on the theater. Mother, if you directed by Darren
Aronofsky.
He also did Black Swan. Okay, I'm going to tell you the surface and then what it's really about, because this is a very complex movie. Surface is you have a man and a wife. They're having marriage problems.
I say.
And that's my foghorn leghorn. And people keep coming over, and it's stressing the relationship a little bit more until she becomes pregnant. This is kind of told in what feels like a very nightmare form, which I felt was really true to nightmares that I have, but this is not really that much of a horror movie. It's just extremely confusing and disturbing, and you had some great acting.
Disturbing is the word.
You had some great acting, but a lot of the movie, you're just trying to figure out what is going on until after you're done with the movie, and then you read the real plot of this movie, and it's basically the creation. The main character, played by Javier Bardem.
Javier Bardem, yeah.
He is known as the poet or him or the creator, and he represents God. And you have Jennifer Lawrence, who also did a fantastic job. She is known as the mother, or she would be considered Earth. Mm-hmm. And this is about the creation of Earth, bringing of Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, the birth of Christ, the death of Christ, And then an added chapter, which is the reason why I didn't give it a higher score, is a very lengthy end of the world scenario. This was shot fantastically, all on 16 millimeter. It is confusing, and the way they advertised it as, especially the last trailer, as a cheesy 70s style horror.
Yeah.
And so you're expecting maybe something artistic, but gritty. And instead you walk in, and a lot of people in the theater that I was in, they were really disappointed that this is not the movie that they came for. And no one really knows what this movie is about until afterwards, if you are interested enough in reading and finding out about it.
And that's one of the things I think is pretty interesting about this movie, is there's many ways to interpret it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways you can interpret it. And it's a movie, to me, that begged to be rewatched. Mm-hmm. Now, I had an experience when I went and saw it opening night. We had an issue in the theater. We had a little descriptive audio playing over the top, which was a whole different experience because it felt like someone whispering in your ear the whole time. Mm-hmm. And with this movie, I'm trying to focus. Yeah. I am getting lost. So for me, I walked out of the movie, and first off, I didn't know if I liked the movie. Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure if I liked it. I wasn't sure what it was really going on in the movie, what it was about. It was a movie that I told the guy I went with, like, I don't know if I ever want to watch this movie again, but I feel like I have to because it is difficult. It is a very difficult movie, and there are moments in this movie that are really hard to watch, and I had to go rewatch it.
Your first time watching it, what did you think it was about?
I thought there was kind of, and I still do, I think there's dual storylines, many interpretations you can take from it.
It's
and I think
abstract.
It's a lot of what you bring to it is what you can take out of it.
Yeah.
And for me, I thought it was about the masculine and feminine side of God, and how the male ego trumps any feminine side, and how that's kind of squashed. And you see Jennifer Lawrence's character protest as Mother Earth, protest things, and it's kind of just like, yeah. Like, no, you're tearing everything apart. And that's how, she playing the Mother Earth and Javier Bardem as God. I mean, his character, him, is the only character in the movie who has a capital letter for his name. Everyone else is man, woman, mother, all lowercase. Yeah. Him, capitalized. So that gave me, okay, he's obviously, it's an allegory for God. And as Earth is being destroyed, these people come in and they destroy it, and the Adam and Eve characters and the Cain and Abel characters, and people overwhelm, and then the deity, and how people just will destroy anything in the name of this deity. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really interesting. And then the artistic side of just living with someone who is artistic and kind of craves the attention and is willing to go, yeah, but these people need me.
And that's what I got out of the first watching of the movie is I thought it was a movie about an extremely extroverted person, not only emotionally, but physically. It's part of his profession to be an extrovert. Right. And then you had the wife who was extremely introverted. Yeah. She kept her career inside the home. She made things inside the home. She just wanted to be at home with the husband, but neither one.
Can I just have you? Why do I have to share you with
everyone?
Exactly.
And you had two conflicting personalities and emotions. Neither one was being bad. It was, in order to be happy, one has to do this and one has to do that. And I looked at it as a nightmare scene of an extremely bad marriage.
And for me, like this movie played on my anxiety of strangers filling my house, and I have no control over that. That gives me great anxiety when people. That's just me. I'm kind of like a homebody a lot of times. I'm just like, let me have my space. And when people come in, and Michelle Pfeiffer's character, as the Eve comes in, and then just like won't listen, and be like, no, but and they're told, like, do not go into this room. Do not touch this fruit. Yep. Basically, like, do not go in here. And then, like, why are you in here? I told you not to. And like, oh, it's fine. Don't worry. Like, no, it's not. And that had me really full of anxiety as it was going on.
And then that's why this is actually a new classification of horror. I just think this is a tire nightmare because this is exactly how my nightmares go.
I have no control.
You have no control. Everything is confusing. Things are not happening the way normal life is supposed to happen, but everybody is acting like this is normal. The only person that doesn't believe that it's normal is obviously the viewer.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on. In the background, there's things, as chaos is going on, there's people that are trying to repair the house for her. I take this movie as a big chunk of it is just a damning of how we treat Earth.
Yeah.
and how we're just willing to tear it apart. And yeah, there's some that are saying, we got to stop doing this. I'll paint the walls while you're tearing the furniture apart. And there's just so much going on. And like I say, the subsequent viewing of it, I started to pick up a lot more. Obviously, it's just so dense, and it's very tough to watch, and there's tough moments.
Once you find out what the real story is, though, I had a blast the first time I watched it, but once I found out, I was like, oh my gosh, all this stuff makes sense.
Yeah.
When they're painting the house and Mother is down there going, what are you doing?
Right.
It's kind of what we do. We try to reform nature in order to benefit.
To make it good again.
And it's not working.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is Aronofsky has never been one to tell a simple story. Probably the most accessible movie he's ever made was The Wrestler, was about the closest he got to just linear storytelling. But I mean, movies like Requiem for a Dream and Black Swan, these movies make you think.
Yeah.
And Aronofsky doesn't care if you like his movies. He has something to say in a way he wants to say it, in a vision of how he wants to get it out there. And then it's up to you to receive it how you want to receive it. This movie's been very divisive. This movie's famously gotten an F score from one of the big associations that rarely gives out F scores. This got an F. I know people have walked out of theaters. We had people walk out when I saw it. I've talked to many people that say it's the worst movie they've ever seen. And I understand that. This is one of the few movies where I can't judge someone for going, this was the worst movie. It's awful. I totally understand why someone would feel that way. It's difficult to access. It's difficult to decipher.
Well, I think the executives of this movie, I'm not really sure who it is, but once they got this movie, they had no idea how to advertise this. And they're advertising it as a horror film reminiscent to maybe 70s horror
like
films.
Rosemary's Baby.
Exactly. And people are going to come in expecting something that's not really an art film or a religious film or a thinking film. They just want to be pacified. And unfortunately, that's the way they advertised it, was come in and get scared, and that wasn't really the case.
Yeah, it worked for me though. Like I said, after the first viewing, I really couldn't figure out if I liked it, how I'm going to review this, what really was going on in a lot of these scenes. It really, I don't know that I'll ever rewatch this again. Now I've seen it twice. That's probably it for me, and that's the way it is with a lot of Aronofsky's films. Requiem for a Dream is an amazing film. I don't know that I ever need to see it again. Black Swan as well. I don't know that I ever need to see Black Swan again. But he challenges you, and that's the one thing I like, is that movies don't always have to be fun. Movies don't always have to be easy, but to be great. I don't have to have a fun time in the movie. I don't have to walk out and go, I knew everything that happened, for me to still appreciate and go, that was something great.
Yeah.
It's rare these days that movies make you think. And this movie made me think. And I think a lot of people have an issue with that. A lot of people want to be told the story, and then they walk out and go, okay, that was the story.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to chew it over.
No, this is really something that it's not a passive film. When you're watching it, you do have to think, you're your own Scooby-Doo. You have to figure out what's going on. And then afterwards, when you're able to be told exactly what went on, you're like, what? And your mind is blown twice.
And that's the thing, is it's surreal.
Yeah.
And especially that final act, that third act, when everyone's in the house and she's pregnant. And I mean, I can understand why people hate it.
Yeah.
Because it's really like, okay, what are we doing here?
Well,
what's dream? What's real? There's some moments with I hate things that happen to children. And there's some moments with a child in here that hurt me and made me sick to my stomach to watch.
Well, that final act was really my only downfall of the movie. And I really do love this movie, but that was a half hour of just complete chaos.
Total chaos.
Total chaos.
Absolutely.
And after a while, I was like, okay, I get it, the total chaos, but now I want you to rein it in and take it into a different direction for me. And they didn't quite do that, but I'm not saying that made it bad. I'm just saying it dropped my score just a wee bit.
And that's, I mean, I think that's just kind of a hallmark of Darren Aronofsky as a filmmaker, is that it feels like, whether it's purposeful or whether he is the artist himself, where I'm going to do what I think I need to do. I'm sorry that you think that I'm being rude. I'm sorry that you want me to do this, and it would probably make sense for me to do this. But I have to do this. I have to create it this way. And he has an interesting concept for a lot of things. And yeah, I agree with you. That final act, it felt like, okay, I need some resolution on this.
There's some pacing that needed to be done. Either tone it back, bring it forward, something like that. But it was just kept on gradually increasing for a good half hour.
Yeah.
And at that point, you can guess what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. Oh, it's going to be a little worse than it is right now.
And it was.
Yeah.
It was. So ultimately, I ended up giving Mother 4 stars.
Yeah.
It was tough, man. I was kind of around
Same here.
different scores as I chewed it over.
I was hem-hawing at a 4.5, but I gave it a 4 just because I had to pick a number.
This is a movie that I would be interested, to come back to in 10 years. Maybe, rewatch, maybe not. But just come back to and what do I give it now? With an extended time and things, film is fluid. Film is living, and opinions change. A movie that I loved 15 years ago, I don't like now sometimes. There's movies like, I can't believe I used to love that movie. It's no good. It doesn't hold up. I'm curious to see where this one sits.
I'm definitely going to get this one. It's on Blu-ray. I'm going to watch all the extras and stuff like that. Yeah. I thought it was fantastic. I did the same thing with Black Swan, too. Yeah. Extremely confusing movie, but I rewatched it quite a few times.
And I think the strong point of this movie, too, is Jennifer Lawrence and Javi Bardem are great.
Yes, they are.
And that helps.
And it didn't really, you had Ed Harris.
Ed Harris was just there
but,
me. Michelle Pfeiffer she played her role well. She infuriated me.
Yeah.
I was like, who does she think she is?
I even like Cain and Abel.
The Gleason brothers.
Gleason brothers. Yeah, how did they come up with the name Gleason? Everything else had.
No, that's their names. The actors, the Gleason, they're brothers, the Gleasons.
Well,
they're just younger son and older son.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, there we go.
There we go. Now we know. And knowing, we found out, is half the battle, Mike.
Yes, it is.
All right, let's move ahead by looking back to a movie that came out in 1985. We're trying to find a surreal movie.
Yeah.
A movie that is another movie that's a little tough to chew over, a little tough to comprehend sometimes.
And we threw out a bunch of
There's
options.
plenty of them.
There's
plenty. We settled on a movie written and directed by Terry Gilliam, known from Monty Python fame. Brazil. Brazil is a movie that came out in 1985. It is very much a George Orwell 1984 feel to it, of a strange, bizarre sci-fi future, kind of unlike any we've ever seen before. It stars Jonathan Pryce, who's great in this. Is a guy who's just he's the regular guy trying to get through this absurdity that is the future.
It's like everyone's a bureaucrat. Yeah. You're either a protester, rich, or a bureaucrat.
Yeah, and it's got a rich cast. Robert De Niro is in this for a bit. You have Ian Holm, Bob Hoskins. The movie is, simply put, bizarre. And it's a movie that, for me, I've spent a good chunk of my life trying to get through this movie and try to fully understand it. I've watched this movie several times, and a lot of times I have a hard time finishing it. And there's multiple cuts of this movie, which doesn't help things. There's the cut. There's famously, when Gilliam finished the movie, the studio did not like it, and they wanted cuts made. And he, he's the artist, and he's like, no, we can't. And they forced it. So there's the Terry Gilliam cut, there's the studio cut, there's the TV cut. 3 totally different ones. Kind of like your Blade Runner.
This is the first time I actually watched this, and I really thought it was a lot like A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but for adults.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Really, in comparison to Mother, it was a lot easier to understand.
Oh, sure. But there's a lot of you see a lot of odd dream sequences going on here. I mean, Terry Gilliam has a crazy mind of his own.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff going on. This movie is also the middle movie of a trilogy. It starts with Time Bandits.
Really?
And then goes to Brazil, and then ends with The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Time Bandits is like one of those movies I loved when I was younger, and then now it's
That is supposed to be the adolescent story.
Yeah.
This is more of the middle-aged story, and then Adventures of Baron Munchausen is the end-of-life story of this grand story that Terry Gilliam wrote, apparently. I have never seen Adventures of Baron Munchausen, though.
Is it all, do you know if it's all fluid with the same characters, or is it more like...
No.
Okay.
No. I believe it's just a vision of a storyline, as far as I can tell. But I do know that these are supposed to be a trilogy together. So maybe sit down for a weekend, watch all those.
John Carpenter, he did something like that with 3 movies that are nothing alike, but obviously they go together because he told us it did.
In his mind. So what did you end up thinking? What did you think of Brazil on your first watch?
I really enjoyed Brazil. I was expecting actually something really confusing that I would not be able to understand, but it was absurd looking.
Sure.
It was a new world altogether.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. For me, like I say, I don't know what it is. For me, I have struggled to get through this movie many times. I don't know why. I don't know why. There's been multiple times where I've fallen asleep in the middle of the movie. I don't know why. I like the movie.
Yeah.
I enjoy the movie.
But it just triggers something.
It has a pox on me, and I can't stay with it. I don't know why.
We're gonna have to get you some help.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. So that is our throwback for this week. Brazil is. Let's take a quick look ahead at what is coming soon. The weekend of September 29th, we're gonna have 3 movies at your local theater. The first one is American Made, the aforementioned American Made, starring Tom Cruise, based on a true story about a pilot. I want to think that this is actually the Top Gun sequel. This is what Maverick did after Top Gun.
Yeah.
He went out and became a drug runner because he was a pilot, and they said, we got something for you to do. You're a pilot? Oh, we got some coke for you to bring. That's what Maverick did.
All right.
I can see it. I'm going to watch it through that lens.
I'm gonna watch Top Gun, and then I'm gonna watch this.
That's the best thing. I'm assuming there's a scene in here. Volleyball in jeans.
And do you think Tom Cruise is gonna run?
I can guarantee it. The next movie we have that weekend is the remake of the successful 1990 film Flatliners, starring Ellen Page this time and a whole host of characters.
And that is a movie that does need updating.
I've always thought that.
Yep.
These trailers, I'll say they haven't sold me yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always thought that Flatliners is a great story. It's dated.
Yeah.
And that it would be great on a remake. I'm not sure that this is the version, but I guess we'll tell.
It was extremely stylized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved Oliver Platt in that movie. No one ever gives Oliver Platt enough credit. All right. The final movie we have that weekend is Till Death Do Us Part, the new movie. You've seen this movie many times, Mike. Taye Diggs and his beautiful wife have a wonderful marriage. Break up, though. Something's not there. Perhaps he cheated on her. She gets together with another man, but then her ex shows up, and he's not letting anyone have her except for him. She's mine or no one's.
We have this at least twice a year.
Absolutely. This looks exactly like a movie that we've reviewed many times. But it's coming September 29th, Till Death Do Us Part. So we have that. Before we leave you, though, we want to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, The Palace. Thank you for sponsoring our show. We love The Palace. I got to say, Mike, we had our difficulties last week when I saw Mother. There was descriptive audio playing, which was odd because it was for the visually impaired, so I was getting descriptions of what was going on. I'd never seen that before.
I actually had it for the first 3 seconds, and the first thing I said was, oh no, really loud.
Here
Probably everybody heard me.
But you know what? They handled it amazingly. They were great, and so kudos to The Palace. Issues come up, it happens, and they handled it spectacularly. So thank you.
They got great employees.
That they do. And if you want to find more from us, you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter. Just search at Real Reviews TV. Real Reviews TV on any of those things will find us. You can find us on the YouTube, Real Reviews K-Sun, or go to ksun.tv to watch 179 episodes. We're creeping towards 200.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm going to put on new shoes.
Look
so
out.
Everybody's going to see it.
New shoes. All right. Well, next week we're going to have some fun. We're going to be talking about Kingsman: The Golden Circle, Lego Ninjago, Friend Request, and Stronger, the Jake Gyllenhaal movie that I see is coming out.
I'm looking forward to this week.
Should be a good weekend. I'm excited for it. We also have Comic-Con this week, Wizard World Comic-Con, which we'll be talking about a little bit next week perhaps. But until that time, my name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.